Hey guys, it's Mike at TAYLOR RC, and as promised, we're just checking in to do a little bit of a strip down on the Kraken VESLA drivetrain, so you guys can have an early insight into how it's all been designed, the good features, and anything that we may try and improve on, from a Taylor and maybe a big bore perspective. So I think you guys will be impressed, because I certainly was the first time I opened it up. So first thing you'll notice is we have a nice clear Lexan gear cover, which I know a lot of you guys will enjoy for your sand bashes and that sort of stuff, to keep the crud away from the primary gears. So that just pops off with 2 bolts there and a little clip at the back, locating clip. I mean, the biggest difference you'll notice here over the HBO Baja is we have a really sophisticated slipper clutch, adjustable slipper clutch on the Vesla. Now, this is all, by the way, I've just left it all relatively loose so that I could pull it apart easily for you on video. Without watching me struggle with tools. I should actually comment, the Loctiting is really good on this truck. They've used just enough Loctite so that we're not going to have problems with stuff backing out, but not too much that it's a pain to work on. I've not stripped a single bolt pulling it apart, and everything has been, good quality bolts for the level of torque required for each application. So really pleased with that one. So yeah, this slipper clutch, the idea of a slipper clutch is to protect, in RC, is to protect the actual drivetrain from the shock loading of the engine and the brushless motor, depending on whether you go for gas or electric. I think for big bore application, we may well find that we're doing away with a slipper clutch. It's going to be too much to expect this design of slipper clutch to handle the insane levels of torque from a big bore engine. But for all you small bore guys, it's just going to mean you have longer and longer sort of life out of the drivetrain without seeing problems. So that's superb. So we have like a lock nut on here, a little lock washer to prevent it coming loose. Just pop this one off if she'll play ball. Then behind that is an adjuster nut. This large nut here is like an adjuster nut that you can tune your slipper clutch to your needs. Obviously, you'll want quite a bit of pre-tension on there, because this nut has to provide enough side load on these plates to actually stop the engine slipping the plates any more than is required for like a launch, etc. So we'll remove our adjuster nut there, and then these are the slipper clutch plates, which all removed. I'm just going to keep them in order so that I don't have any confusion at a later date. This is like the slipper clutch back plate here, and then the little friction plate on the actual spur gear. So these just come away. This spur gear is just nicely mounted on a little bearing, which is cool. So that's rotates nice and freely, and then the back plate of the slipper clutch there. And then we've now removed our spur gear and slipper clutch assembly, which that all drives nice on a big, wide flat here on the lay shaft. So we've got no issues of torque loading there. The pinion is very well attached to the clutch bell. We're not going to have any HPA Baja style snapping here. I mean, look at the size of that fitment. I mean, that's beautiful. For a 2-flat style pinion attachment, that's so strong, unbelievably strong. And obviously the clutch bell, the same. You won't have any issues with the shaft on that. I mean, that's incredibly strong. So fair play to Kraken there. That was worth the weight of the extra shaft size on that one. You will notice this gear plate assembly, which is sort of integral, the clutch carrier as well, is really nice and beefy. There's no need for any guys to be changing this other than if they want some bling, in the sense that this should handle a huge amount of load. I'm not expecting to need to change this, and for a fitment perspective, we don't need to change it for a big bore engine, which is superb. Sort of 40 to 71cc engines will drop straight in here with absolutely no modifications to this plate, and they'll hook up to all the bolt pattern, and you guys will just be able to enjoy big bore power, knowing that this is not going to let you down. It's quite a heavy duty piece, and there's a little bit of weight involved because of the materials. But the good thing is we can always produce a lighter version later. At least you're not going to have failures. So fair play to Kraken on that one. I think they made a good choice in making that heavy duty. So let's just go around and remove that piece. So the actual gear plate is attached via some bolts which come through the gearbox from the backside, which is quite a nice design. So if we just change our bit there, some long bolts here that go through the gearbox. Superb. And nicely loosened off. So that just literally slides away as one complete assembly. You'll see that is just, you know, really integral design. The brake system is all housed within there, so everything is super sturdy, not going to move around. Yeah, quite pleased with that. That gives me confidence that we're not going to have any failures in this piece at all. It has a bit of weight to it, but there is a reason for that, and I feel it's justified. So I like that one. The complete gearbox in this car is also the rear bulkheads. So it's quite a nice design in terms of working on it. It's really not a complex piece to pull apart. You've got your rear shock tower and arm assemblies all attached to the exact same piece. One piece rear bulkhead, gearbox assembly, I suppose. And to work on it is just, you know, so convenient in a sense compared to, obviously we're comparing this to the Baja because, you know, in many ways, Kraken have openly said this is like the sort of next evolution of the two-wheel drive platform, which obviously, you know, credit to the HPI Baja, it got us where we are now, which is fantastic. So if we just remove our shocks for a moment, I'll just move these back nuts, pop our shocks off. Superb. And then if we pull our camber links out of here, the actual camber links themselves really nice. They're not particularly heavy, even though the plastic joints look really big and beefy, because being plastic, I mean, there's just no weight to them. So I don't see any issues there in terms of those failing. The hinge pins are an E-clip design, which I know some of you guys won't like, but I can totally understand why Kraken has done it from a production perspective. Makes perfect sense. Of course, you will see TAYLOR titanium clipless hinge pins in the near future, so don't be concerned about that. I mean, that's our whole rear corners just removed. I mean, talk about convenient. That's fantastic. And now we can get to the whole rear end of the car. I think I might just pop this off and then zoom you guys in so you can see it better. There's two bolts to remove at the rear end here, which for the rear hinge pin brace. Pop those guys out. Loosen them off, and now I think if I just move these bolts out here, you see the Loctite, it's just a nice amount. I had no issues getting them undone the first time, but they're not coming out anywhere, so that's really well made and designed. We'll get to the bolts underneath now and just remove those out. I haven't got all the bolts on at the minute. It is well secured. Plenty of M5 countersinks under here, so the chassis is not, if you do bottom out anyway, you're not dragging against the heads of bolts. And that whole assembly just lifts out. Let's push the car out of the way for a moment so we can see what we're doing. I am in the process of trying to put together a little bit of a filming room so that we can get a better view of any sort of technical videos we do, which I'd like to do a lot more in future, because I do enjoy doing these videos and getting to show you guys the ins and outs of stuff and maybe give a little bit more of our opinion so that you can see behind the scenes more than just our press releases and new components that we put out. Even this, just a small attention to detail, even the shock tower has a locating boss on the gearbox, so you know, even if the bolts come a bit loose, you're not going to have an important part like the shock tower and the whole rear shock assembly coming loose at all. It's nicely thought out. Now, something that a lot of guys, including the big horsepower guys, are just going to love is the lay shaft has cleverly been designed with a removable bolt assembly from the side. So say if your lay shaft did break or you had an issue with anything on the back of the spur gear assembly and you want to remove your lay shaft, you're not having to strip the whole car down to get the gearbox out. You're simply going in there, this is still fitted to the car, nip into the side of the gearbox, which is pretty easy to access. Just get myself a Allen key. Undo this main bolt here. And then the lay shaft just pops straight out. And what I know every single big bore guy that's spent a lot of time around the Baja is just going to instantly love is look at the lay shaft fitment. No pins, absolutely no pins. It has a completely durable slide fit. I'll put it in from this side so you guys can see. We'll get in there and there's the pinion gear anyway. So again, you can get the gear out. No need to remove the gearbox to get the transmission pinion gear. That just slots on there. Unbelievably durable drive. There's no way in the world you're ever going to round that drive. The gear itself is incredibly heavy duty. I wish the Baja had been made with gears this tough. And it looks, judging by the colour of the material, that this is made from the same sinter as the upgraded Kraken Baja bevel gears, which have been really successful. We've been running those for months now in really big power rigs with absolutely no problems. So it's clear that Kraken knows how to make a transmission gear, and these are far beefier than the Baja upgrades that they've made out of what appears to be the same material. So I've got every confidence that we don't actually need upgraded transmission gears, which is incredibly impressive. You know, I would be quite confident to stick a big bore in this thing and expect these gears to hold up. Of course, we're going to have to replace the plastic diff. There's no way in the world this bulkhead's going to handle, you know, a 40 or even a 71cc engine. So we've got that to do, but yeah, that's a small price to pay if you're running a huge motor anyway. So I think you guys expect that these days. That's all those bolts out there. Let's just pop the little case retaining bolts out. Super. And now we should be able to just pop the case apart, and you'll see straight away that the rest of the gears, the idler, pinion and the crown gear, are all really tough. I mean, this it's quite nicely located. I'm not sure if she's going to come out for me. Now, if I just try and pop this out, I might just have to use a little bit of persuasion on her. Yeah, this idler gear again, really tough. There's plenty of meat around there. The bearings are a nice fit inside the gear. There's just no play when it's all under tension. So that should be no problems on the idler. And then the main crown gear, you can just see the thickness at the base of the teeth profile. That is a strong gear, and obviously it's the way it's been designed, it comes back around here. So the actual gear itself, the boss of the gear, has quite a good integrity as well. So I don't expect that to be a particular issue, to be honest with you. The diff internal gears are all Vector 5. They've been pretty reliable on the Vector. I'm not expecting to be instantly shattering those. And what is nice is it comes with a quite nicely made alloy, excuse me, alloy diff casing as standard. So we've got pretty good confidence straight away in the whole diff assembly. It is a really nicely designed piece. From the way the lay shaft fits into the gearbox, and the fact that it is removable with the gearbox still bolted in the car, to the fact that then the actual, you know, all of the gears themselves are all really heavy duty made. The fitment is pinless up to the point of the diff internals. It's quite hard to fault the overall design process, it really is. The stock drive cups are beefy. They're 5mm pins, so yeah, okay, fine. The biggest of the big bore guys are going to be looking for alternatives at some stage, but I'd like to think that the sort of the biggest of the small blocks and the smaller of the big blocks are going to be able to run, you know, like they would do with, say, a 5mm fat setup pretty confidently out of the box. So we'll soon see once we get running with that, but confidence is high at the moment from a, you know, an engineering perspective, just looking at the components. So that's all looking really good there. I will, now that we've zoomed in, just go back to the gear plate assembly. This is all, you know, a die-cast piece, so it's very strong. There's lots of ribbing, you know, nice big bearings everywhere. Look on the back side of it again, there's plenty of meat and beef on the mounting points. This profile here, like I mentioned and actually posted up on Facebook today, this profile, the actual the room allowed is enough for our 40 to 71cc engines to bolt straight in with our 62mm V3 clutch, super successful clutch. That will fit straight into this with absolutely no modifications. The only thing that needs a slight modification is the engine brace, which bolts across here and then bolts down to the chassis. There's just a tiny touch in the middle of that. We will make an aftermarket one, but it is so easy to mod it anyway. So if guys don't want to be spending money to drop an engine in, it is literally a case of buy an engine package, start thinking about gearing. So that is really cool. And saying gearing, let's just talk about some of the things that we have decided we're going to do based off the time we spent with the car so far. We are going to make, I just love this lay shaft setup with the fact that it, you know, mates to the transmission gears in such a positive manner. We are going to make a Blackbone version of this shaft. And when I say Blackbone version, I mean that you'll be able to run Blackbone Baja gears on your Kraken VESLA. That just gives us, as many of you guys know, Blackbone are the best gears on the market. They've been going for such a long period of time. Lee Watson at Blackbone is just like a real old school dude. He makes everything by hand in the UK to top quality standards. So we've got a full range of gears already in stock to give you guys all the tuning options you could ever possibly want. The ratio isn't quite the same as a Baja in the sense the pinion to spur sizing ratio is slightly farther apart on these. So you run like a 19 tooth pinion with a 57 tooth spur rather than a 17 tooth pinion on a Baja with a 57 spur. Which is nice, actually. It gives us more room between the engine and the gearbox, so big ball guys will be pleased to hear that. But that's not a problem. We will make up from our already on the shelf items. We'll make up a set of gears for the Kraken VESLA, so you guys can get tuning with different engines straight at the box. So there'll be a replacement shaft for this that bolts straight into your VESLA gearbox, and as you've seen, you can change the lay shaft without even messing with the car, which is just phenomenal. I love that design. So you'll be able to just change the lay shaft. It will remove moving the slipper clutch, which is not for everybody, and that is not a problem. But the big ball guys, I think, will want to remove the slipper clutch anyway. So yeah, run Blackbone gears straight away, which would be really good. What else are we looking at? We're obviously going to make a billet aluminium version of this housing. I've got some nice little design tricks up my sleeve, which I'm not going to mention now so they don't get copied by any other firms looking to invest in the car, which I welcome everyone to do. It's a great platform. I know that it's going to be you know, a platform that everyone gets behind once they've actually had one in their hands, because I was obviously excited about it, and as a dealer I bought into it because I want to stock the cars, but as an enthusiast I just like the idea of a reliable, easy to work on two-wheel drive platform. So yeah, I'm into it. In summary, we've got a TAYLOR billet aluminium gearbox with some cool tricks coming. We've solved the gearing options in the short term, possibly long term, by integrating Blackbone Baja gears with modified ratios to suit the Vesla. We've been really impressed with what we've seen in terms of the transmission gear setup, which is great. We will be producing shock towers with some more pleasing aesthetics and some different positions for the shocks there. The actual car as it comes has got excellent suspension travel. It'd be nice to have a tower maybe that gives us some more tuning options than just the two standard holes, so we'll get that sorted out. Yeah, what else have we got coming? Some chassis braces. In fact, I'll just pull the transmission out of view and try and bring the car back in to finish the video. Yeah, we mentioned briefly in my first video about the actual chassis here and some sort of bracing options. I have successfully designed a new kind of engine through middle of chassis brace setup that solves any concerns that I may have had about chassis flex with bigger engines. So that has been done and will be available later down the line. I'll try my best to get it out as quickly as I can after release so that guys don't feel like they're held back on the platform if there's anything that they're missing. So, but now with what we've got coming, what we've seen with the stock vehicle, I feel like I've had every confidence that on launch and shortly after launch, we'll be in a position for guys to get it, fit the motor that they want to fit, and get and enjoy it. You know, as a person posted it on social media recently, we've got exhaust sorted out. We've now got a small block kind of 29 to 36 cc pipe. We've got a 40 to 50 side pipe for our GT series engines, and we've got a 55 plus pipe for all the bigger guys. So I think we've got most things covered now. I'm really happy with how everything's ended up. Yeah, well, the next thing is let's get this built back up together. We'll get a motor slapped in it, and once the British weather allows me to get a chance to get out there, we'll give it a shakedown actually under power and give you guys some feedback on how it runs. Appreciate the time, guys, and hopefully I've given you some insight there as to what to expect on the inside of the car.